everybody. Welcome back to the Be There in 5 podcast. I'm Kate Kennedy, your host. I have so much to say. This week, there were countless things that made me feel crazy, which is like the best and worst kind of week. So I figure we'll snorkel through some of them and just see where this goes. I honestly don't even know where to begin because I am in the midst of an Instagram drama with a small business being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. I also, for a couple of reasons, I'm recording in the dark. Don't know if I'll use the video. I'm feeling like I need to be incognito. One, because I literally am. You know how Mariah Carey has Bianca and Michelle Tanner had that brunette evil twin from Greece that came over with Papuli? The Isabella to Lizzie McGuire. The Wario to a Luigi. A favorite trope of mine that is incredibly unfair to brunettes, but I'd argue makes you cooler, is that of the evil brunette twin. Now, I accidentally dyed my hair brown somehow as a kid upon just trying to fulfill a common quest of girlhood, which is getting face framing layers. I am forever thinking that a hot version of myself is just around the corner with one small purchase of a beauty product, beauty treatment, beauty service, haircut, hairstyle. It has launched me into the stratosphere, not unlike Katy Perry, of coaches coaching coaches in the image transformation, color swatching, and transformation consultation space, where these people you can pay to like virtually tell you like how to be a mega hottie. And let me just tell you, I'm interested for research purposes mostly, and selfish and shallow ones too. And for the Katy Perry of it all, I do think we need to talk about the most astronomically terrible PR rollout. We haven't seen a girl boss veneer melt away in this fashion since Theranos. I mean, E.T. phone Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes is rolling in her cell because she thought we maybe learned by now. Seeing a conversation about how representation matters and, this being so iconic because, an all-women flight to space hasn't occurred since the 70s and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, most of these people, with the exception of two, who I'll give credit to, and I think we need to highlight, pay-for-play celebrities going on a brief suborbital flight into the stratosphere isn't exactly addressing the structural barriers for women's participation in aerospace. Because if it was about that, I'd be like, all right, I don't really get it. Space feels like none of my business. But if you want to go there, that's chill. If a billionaire wants to sponsor women in STEM who are underrepresented in a field, astronauts, engineers, scientists who otherwise can't afford such experiences, who can fund research positions, who can collect field research, who can do something. I don't know what you do in a spaceship besides listen to Protozoa. I don't think anyone would care or talk shit if we were advancing women's roles in space exploration and STEM fields. But this was the weirdest, most disorienting, most self-unaware promotion of something that was so transparently a Blue Origin tourism billboard for Bezos, masquerading as women in STEM, representation in aerospace. I mean, not only the cost of a ticket, like you have to put down a deposit of $150,000. The company Blue Origin previously auctioned the seat on its first flight at $28 million. Like it's rich people's Cedar Point. I think the thing that's confusing is space tourism isn't like really astronaut work. It's not like really going and floating in space, like gravity style, obviously. It's the globally recognized boundary of space that's 100 kilometers above sea level. And Blue Origin's suborbital flight crossed the line. So they experienced weightlessness for like 4 minutes before it descended, which is like 62 miles from Earth. I think to me, space is like so far away. I was like, space is close? I'm 62 miles. That's how far we all are away from a Great Wolf launch. If you're lucky, you're never 62 miles away from a Kohl's plus Sephora. And I'm like, we're the first all-female crew to board some mode of transit to go from downtown Los Angeles to Laguna Niguel. And it's like, it just isn't that far. Now, I will tell you, one of the 6 women on the flight, Aisha Bowe, was a former NASA rocket scientist with relevant technical experience. One was an incredible woman named Amanda Wynn, who's a bioastronautics researcher and civil rights activist. That is a really important story, and she's incredible. This is not personal to Amanda Wynn, Aisha Bowe. This is personal to Lauren Sanchez and Gayle King and Katy Perry, and the PR machine that, is so disconnected from reality. They genuinely thought people were going to care about this submersible of the skies. And I don't take that lightly. I know one ended tragically, the exploration to the Titanic, but hearing Katy Perry talk about it afterward, that's a whole other can of worms you got to get into. But she the way she's talking about it is a function of her thinking she was going to die. Listen to this.
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
But why?
Got it? I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space for the future. And for me, like Gail said, this wasn't a ride, it wasn't a destination, it was a journey, and it was a supernatural one. And my journey has always been about love and belonging, and I think that we have all felt that sometimes we weren't worthy or we didn't belong in certain ways, no matter all the accolades, no matter all the studying, no matter anything. And I think today we all said it, like, we belong here. Mm-hmm. This is where we belong, and we feel very
on the rocket you ball your way into?
I think that you'll never know the amount of love that you have inside of you to give and to receive until the day you launch, because you're leaving
Joey Tribbiani
behind, and you're surrendering, and you're hoping that you get another chance to love them again. And so when you come back down, you're like, oh, I get another chance, and I'm gonna do it. God.
So you went up there planning to die? I don't find nobility in reckless adrenaline related activities that stand to damage the lives of people you love just for a thrill, just so you can free solo an El Capitan. I mean, there's types of reasonable adrenaline, but then I'm like, the only thing, that would be solo is me breaking up with this dude who insists on climbing without a harness and stressing me the fuck out every weekend when he goes on his little trips. Anyway.
I'm really excited about the engineering of it all. I'm excited to learn more about STEM and just the math about what it takes.
The best part was when we got back in our seats after 0 G's, Katie sang "What a Wonderful World."
She did?
Isn't that nice?
Oh, come on.
She sang "What a Wonderful World." I see dreams. Oh, yes.
Oh.
Because we'd been asking her to sing all the time, and she wouldn't. And then, because everybody said, sing roar, sing fireworks. And she said, it's not about me. I wanted to talk about the world.
Wow.
You know, isn't that nice? You got to ask her about that. The best part was...
Are we crazy, you guys? Predictably, Katy Perry didn't read the room. I don't really have anything personal against her other than the Dr. Luke of it all, which I was reminded of last week. / I don't think it seeped into my brain that the absolute, utter, unforgivable insanity of working with Dr. Luke on Woman's World. But I also did a little bit of a dive into her career when I couldn't sleep last night. And by dive, I mean I did make a 4-axis graph with different elements about her album sales, her critical acclaim, her public controversies coded by sentiment of good or bad, to try to figure out, she spent 11 minutes in space, and that's why we're talking about her now. But the bigger story here is why? Over the past 11 years since 2014, has she not at a #1 single, have her albums kind of tanked? Did nobody stop her before making the Bon Appetit video? And how can a person with a discography that was in Teenage Dream and Prism, some of Witness, just have such an ironic plummet in terms of the irony of her skyrocketing into space, which, to quote her, space is finally going to be glam. We are going to put the ass in astronaut. I mean, if that doesn't make a woman instead want to stick a protractor in her eye, I don't know what will. Smash Marilyn Meyer flask. I know a lot about science. But truly, I'm not even at all related to this issue or field. And the tremendous offense of pay-to-play spaceflight, there and back in 11 minutes, suborbital for 4, basically just taking content and showing your tour dates with a butterfly, allegedly singing "It's a Wonderful World," I suppose. But I'm not making it about you. And then coming back down to earth, kissing the ground, talking about how it's all about love and light and meaning, and you hope you inspired people with your, intrepid journey of electing to maybe do something that could kill you. it's so offensive to then call themselves astronauts and undermine the very industry they're allegedly celebrating by claiming a title belonging to those with a tremendous amount of education expertise, research experience. I don't know, you guys. It's like, I know everybody's shitting on this, and I think some people are like, should we like let it, go easy on it, or it's not all that serious. They wanted to pay to go. Like, yes, and I think they could have just called it what it is, which is a joyride to space. I think they could have actually supported sponsoring women who were in the field and could never afford to go. And whether they briefly did some data collection or simply got the experience of a lifetime or even got the vanity metric of the first all-female flight crew since 1974. Like, I just think anybody deserves that besides Katy Perry and Gayle King and Lauren Sanchez. Regardless, we'll get to some adjacent topics and get to my Katy Perry career chart because I do think there are two phases of it, like BC and AD, which is ML, and BB, which is, of course, Mad Love and Bad Blood. And I do think we need to revisit when Taylor Swift released her entire catalog on Spotify the same day Witness came out. It's a miracle she got an olive branch at that concert, and then they had that hamburger reconciliation, but not even that could save KP's career. Regardless, it's apparently not a woman's world because from this space flight to this crime I'm being accused of that I did not commit, I apparently don't support other women. So a few minutes ago on my Instagram, I get a notification. It's like a comment on one in a millennial post that says, utter nonsense. This person signed up and subscribed to a female business owner. Well, actually, 2 female business owners, and went on to slander and bash them on Google just because she could. This is why I love my fellow Gen Xers. We pick up the phone or make an appointment and hash out whatever conflict in person, not bully because we can and don't hide behind technology. And yes, after the horrifying untruths she spewed on myself and other businesses, you can quote me. I was like, wait, what? It's on a photo about like my book, One in a Millennial. So she's clearly like mad at me for doing something, then makes it about Gen X. And I was like, oh, shit. What female, nay, 2 female business did I inadvertently take down today? Doesn't sound like something I would do, especially because this is a Pilates business. And I wouldn't go near a Pilates studio right now because I don't, quite frankly, go to places that flock mega hotties when I'm in a looks rut. We'll get to that later. But it didn't really make sense to me. And I reply saying, hi, I live in Chicago. I think you have the wrong person. I see a person named Kate left a review, but it isn't me. Well, I lived in Richmond 20 years ago, but I've never been to your studio nor left a review for it, so I think I'm being confused with someone else. Hope it all works out. Take care. And I messaged Courtney prior to sending that because sometimes when there's like unhinged comments or people think you're somebody else. I mean, listen, people think I'm Kate Kennedy, the porn star, or the actress in Halo all the live long. My common name is a blessing and a curse of it being kind of nice to get lost in the shuffle of it. Like it could be a lot of different Kate Kennedys who did something. But it's also really frustrating when people think something's me that isn't. Or people will be like, oh, is this your like Pinterest profile? Like, oh my God, LOL. I'm like, no, that's one of the other 25 million Kate Kennedys. And most of my social media stuff you'd want to snoop is like under an alias because dress your usernames for the job you want, not the job you have. And before anybody ever knew who the hell I was, I wanted to lock that shit down. Regardless, I was talking to Courtney about it because sometimes like I've had situations before where oftentimes it's people that don't really understand the internet or something might be going on with them. And they're really intense and aggressive. And the issue lies in them not understanding like how technology works. I went through this for years with this woman who would so Etsy would take out banner ads that would automatically like kind of randomly select promoted listings from Etsy based on like previous browsing history, like a lot of internet ads are. When people don't understand that, this woman basically thought I was following her and taking up a part of her screen to sell my product. And she would send me emails round the clock yelling at me to get off her screen, stop spying on her, get off her computer. I do not want this doormat. Like it was to the point where sometimes when you're interfacing with these people, it's on the one hand, it's like, you don't even know the knowledge base of this person to even be able to begin to explain it. Are they on Alta Vista? Ask Jeeves. Are they on CompuServe? Like, I simply don't know how you can be a user of like the internet on a laptop and not kind of get the gist for like basic ad tracking. But that's me being ageist and marketingist. Sometimes I'm like, well, aren't they in some weird world? Are they like sophisticated enough to like not understand the situation and like track me down and like try and burn my house down. You know what I mean? I just get freaked out by people that like you can't reason with, that you were having weird digital interactions with. Sometimes the crazier shit that's said, even if it's not right or you want to apologize or try to understand better, it's like not worth it to engage just in case this person's not reasonable. So Courtney's being protective and like careful, is on the fence. She's like, it might not be worth it. Like based on how she responded to the bad review, like she might not be well. And I was like, I don't know. I don't want her thinking like I bombed her business. And the other problem is if people misunderstand something, the first thing they do in retaliation is stalk your Instagram, podcast reviews, like we'll go anywhere and just like for like a hit of retaliation before even proving that I'm the right Kate Kennedy. It's crazy. So Courtney kind of dug into it because I want to make sure someone's not using my likeness if there's like any merit to this. Or hell, I want to make sure I'm not drinking and reviewing Pilates studios again like the old days. So yeah, Courtney looked into it and saw that there was a Kate who a few hours prior had left a bad review on this business. So it's a review that's basically saying like the owner of this place is unprofessional and is disturbingly comfortable, like for a yoga and Pilates place, responding harshly to a routine request. All she asked was to unsubscribe from emails. And the owner replied saying, wow, that's a lot of angst against a tiny little yoga studio. We are so sorry you are so unhappy. We are more than happy to have your energy removed. A simple request to unsubscribe would have sufficed. You are now removed, blocked, and forever out of our consciousness. Blessings. After that, she sends 3 additional emails, one of which stated, go find a therapist you feel safe with. The joke is she's still not unscribed from the email list and keeps trying. And she continues to receive like even more emails after the request. And like, it's actually a federal law, like the Spam Act. And she's like, a yoga studio rooted in mindfulness, peace, and compassion. Like, it's kind of weird to respond in a hostile and dramatic way. And if this is how she handles an unsubscribe request, I can only imagine what the behind the scenes like vibe is, which is like a very fair review and like a very concerning thing. And I should have read that probably when Courtney was like, I think she's in the right headspace to engage. But also she's like arguably not in the right headspace to think I'm the one who wronged her. You know what I mean? I don't want to be on the receiving end of her retaliation. And then she responds to the review, this studio owner saying, I found you listed in your account under a pseudonym as a ClassPass member, Kate Kelly. We have no records of ever communicating with you. We no longer accept ClassPass because of this type of hostile activity. I'm saddened by your inaccurate and untrue review, but wish you many blessings as you seek to find peace and happiness. So then Courtney's like, wait, I think what happened is she must have Googled some form of Kate Kelly Richmond, and like somehow it led to like, you're a public figure from Richmond who has a sister named Kelly, and she assumes that Kate Kelly on ClassPass is actually Kate Kennedy, a Chicago-based author who does not have the core strength nor self-esteem to hold her own in a Pilates class. Nor do I live there or leave Google reviews under my own name. Are you kidding? I would never. So I'm like, well, this is just like so easily clear-upable. Like, it makes sense what happened. So then I DM them just to be like, because they didn't see my comment yet. And I said, hi, that was not me who left the review. I responded to your comment and wanted to reiterate that I don't live in Richmond and I have never been to your studio. So you have the wrong person. Sorry. I would never, I sound so guilty. I'm like, why am I over-explaining and apologizing to this person? Whatever. I would never leave a bad review for a business I've never been to, and I don't live anywhere near. I lived there 20 years ago and have a sister named Kelly, so maybe wires got crossed somewhere, but my name is not Kate Kelly, and nor me nor Kelly have ever been here, have anything to do with it, but I'm very sorry you're dealing with this. And then I was like, oh, okay, it's over. I did the right thing. She responded saying, thank you. It was awful, and I've been crying all day. I sent it to Courtney. I was like, case closed. God bless. Half hour passes. I get another message. It says, the review does have the same picture as you. Same name. Maybe you should report a fake profile as well. Which leads me to believe she thinks this is actually me. Because what are the odds that this person would leave this hyper-specific review, be named Kate, and have my profile picture, but it not be me? And I'm like, what? So then I go back to the reviews and zoom in on this Google user, Kate, unhappy with the subscription situation at the yoga studio. Her profile picture is very clearly of a sitting lion. It's literally a lion. It's a lion with a mane, just being a lion. There is no planet where this is a Kate appropriating my likeness. And I get the sense that this woman is vengeful. She doesn't believe me. Seems to think it's pretty convenient me and this other Kate have the same photo, even though one is of a human woman sitting on a stool just trying to sell some books, and the other is of a literal lion sitting on Pride Rock. Worst part is, it's like so clearly a lion, but it also, if you were to take a step back, not zoom in, maybe forego corrective lenses, it's not me. Like, we have a similar posture. This is a mouse ear skewing line with the mane also flowing over its shoulder like I have in my author photo. And it's one of those things where if I can't convince her to zoom on this photo, it is kind of comically similar to a photo of me, but it's a literal lion. But if she tries to continue to ransack my digital footprint, wait, you're gonna hear me roar. To make an ill-timed Katy Perry reference, like I don't know how to explain to this person that I am not a lion. What a modern Pinocchio. I'm a real girl, I promise. I'm a girl standing in front of a Pilates instructor who brought this onto herself, who should have known better than to engage, asking to unsubscribe from your wrath in ways that I should have seen coming. That will not happen, given you responded to a very normal customer request by being like, namaste subscribed. I don't know, you guys. I am concerned. And I will update you as this episode progresses. But the good news is I, like the Our Lips Are Sealed watching tween I once was, know that the best way to get out of these situations is to join the witness protection program. I don't think she could even find the lion version of me if she tried, because I accidentally dyed my hair brown this week. And a rogue gloss gone wrong when I was just after the universal girlhood experience of face framing layers when you're feeling in a rut about your looks and think the new you's around the corner with one simple haircut or style. And then you'll finally find your look, your bangs, your strawberry blonde, your blunt bob. The risk, take a chance, make a change, break away from your usual go-to comfort look for what makes your face or hair look normal to you, and go for what objectively somebody tells you is the right thing for your face shape, your coloring. I don't know who, like, do people, sorry. In a magazine, when you see best jeans for your body type, does that mean anything to you? My body type's always kind of in between. And even then I'm like, I think this is a swing and a miss. Like, no, I don't think I belong in a low-rise barrel jean. But thank you, though. If reading YM and 17 for years, every single issue, in addition to the obligatory write-in segment about discharge, was almost always a suggestion to put a little lemon in your hair, make a hair mask out of mayo, telling you categorical lies like if you shave over certain parts of body hair, it'll grow back twice as thick. And or a spread about the right makeup, haircut, hat, I don't know, for your face shape in a way that, again, I don't think is helpful. It just something about like the best blank for your blank. I can never figure out what my blank is. And even if I did, I'm like, is this science? Like, I don't know, Jill R. in the features department. I know there's like different ways to do this, like the Kibbe body type thing, which we've all been through together, that I have a goblet body and I will never, ever recover from gob bod. Oh, I was just talking about on Instagram last night. Like, I feel like, per the way Dorothy, a makeover when she got to the Emerald City, or, the Anne Hathaway Princess Diaries of it all, though I think it is unforgivable what that movie did to make little girls with glasses feel a certain way about themselves that is fucked up and I do not support. I mean, really anything where glasses and a ponytail are the thing standing between you and evolving from nerd status to mega hottie. And I'm looking at you, Molly McIntyre, at the victory pageant. I saw you take off those glasses. And yeah, you did look like a showstopper, but never forget who you are. 4 eyes, full hearts can't lose. Yeah, I'm just in a major looks rut. I feel like blah about myself. And I just have been trying to figure out, I don't know, it seems like there should be a person who can look at you and say, you need this hairstyle, these are your colors, your makeup, your lipstick, and I know these people exist, but when I look at the videos online, I'm not seeing what other people are seeing. Like Rachel Green got an ultrasound and she couldn't see the baby. I feel like when I've seen people get their colors done, because I kind of had it done at an influencer event, I'm kind of like pretending like I see it, but I don't. But then there's other people that say it's life-changing. And beyond that, I don't wear a lot of color, and maybe this is why, but also if they identify the perfect tone of patchwork plum that works for my skin tone, who's to say I can find clothing in that specific hue that is a silhouette and style I even like? You know, do people just go like buy any old batwing top in a burnt sienna, call it a day? It's hard to, with clothes, it's several factors, color and silhouette and construction and fabric and beyond. And I don't know. So yeah, I've just always been skeptical. And a lot of you on the internet were like, yeah, I don't understand how to just figure out what will work for me. And you, like me, are envious of when people show up with this like haircut or style that's just like, oh my God, that is you. That is your face. That is perfection. That was a risk, but it paid off, baby. Color analysis, to me, no offense, if you like it or if you are a practitioner, several bests have asked if I wanted to have one done, and that's so incredibly generous. But if I do that, I want to be able to talk about it. And if I want to talk about it, I would never, because I support other women, I would never want to shit on your business, because I think that something can have value to somebody else, but not to me. And I think that like when you take free stuff, it puts you in a weird position sometimes to speak about it glowingly. When I want to be realistic about like, okay, if you're a person like really struggling to get your groove back and want something meaningfully helpful, somebody's either $400. What was the point in that story? Oh, then I'm going to do an episode. I'm going to do some of these image consultants, and then I'm going to do an episode of just anonymously. I signed up for one that was 250 pounds. Europe. Sorry. England, Great Britain, the UK. I don't even know what the conversion is. That's a lot of money, but this is a BTI 5 money I'm investing. And quite frankly, very skeptical. I think this is probably a lot of AI. But so many of you express like that you kind of have this similar frustration where you could have like your makeover episode and be one of the people that makes it out the other side. And if there are things that actually do this well, I'm interested. And again, I'm not trying to undermine color analysis, period. Like, people love it. The reason I'm talking about it is because people love it so much. I want to love it. I just don't, I don't know if I'm a believer. And up until this point, I haven't been able to fork over $400 to do it in person. But somebody offering half that can do it online. They also made me send in like photos of my like body, like they're like full body. It was a little invasive. And I put in the notes, I was like, hey girl, I do not consent to these being used anywhere outside of internally. Just these random like self-appointed coaches, they're not exactly ironclad by HIPAA. Regardless, if I do enough of these and I find any patterns, I kind of just want to investigate, like if they're, these things are really expensive. And you know how I feel about preying on vulnerable people, and je suis vulnerable this week. And I'm the type of person that was like, oh my God, you can transform me in 250 Great Britain pounds? Sign me up, what a steal. And then I got it back, and it's like the most truly, the fashion tips. I'm like, is this the teen study Bible? My colors, I think, are categorically wrong. I don't want to get into it on this episode because I feel like what I'm going to do is do several and see what they say using like the same pictures and footage, implement some things and see if it genuinely helps. Because I'm not trying to call out something like a scam that's not there. I don't like that. But I don't want you wasting your hard-earned money on these people that claim to be the key to the new you, when we know time and time again that so rarely exists. And the better use of our time is perhaps embracing that the current us is fine as we are, and ask ourselves which like expectations and standards we're holding ourselves to are ours, which are like fears we have based on stereotypes, which are things that like it's actually really exciting to not care about anymore. Even though I myself feel like I'm in a bit of a rut, I have high hopes because I'm new to a product that I think you guys are going to love from a brand I trust with my life, Osea. Osea has the best stuff. It smells good. It's Malibu SoCal vibes. I feel breezy and fresh and light, and the scents are unreal. I use so many of their products. I'm a devotee of their Andari algae body oil and their body butter, but also they now are going to help you say goodnight to wrinkles and hello to Osea's new Dream Night Serum with bioretinol. I love that it works overnight. I love how I look when I wake up. You get the results without the irritation somehow. It's formulated with bioretinol as firming peptides, red seaweed, and hyaluronic acid to deliver real results, both instantly and over time. And it locks in moisture and maximizes smoothing benefits while you sleep. Dream Night Serum works overnight to visibly reduce fine lines, wrinkles, which there's nothing wrong with, but if that's a goal you have, you wake up with firmer, smoother looking skin. It's just, all of their products are great, but this is another one to their roster that not only is it beautiful packaging and a great bedside ritual just to have this gorgeous frosted glass, but it also is a dreamy texture and scent. It's silky and gel-like and fast-absorbing with a soothing lavender scent that enhances your nighttime routine. And if you want to lock in moisture to maximize the smoothing benefits while you sleep, you can, of course, pair their Dream Night Serum with their Dream Night Cream, which I do also have that is outstanding. But regardless, the serum itself is pretty incredible because it is a bioretinol product. But the best part is you get results without the irritation. No dryness, no peeling, no adjustment period, just smoother, firmer skin from night one. And that makes it safe for all skin types and gentle enough for nightly use, because I know for a lot of us with sensitive skin, at least I'm a little on the fence when I see something has retinol in it, and I'm picky about what kinds I use. And I love that it dries fast because, when you're like dog licks your face and you just did your skincare routine, it gives you anxiety regardless. Say goodnight to wrinkles and wake up to visibly firmer, smoother, naturally radiant skin with Osea's new Dream Night Serum. And right now we have a special offer just for our listeners. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code BeThereIn5 at OseaMalibu.com. Also, I always give Osea for Mother's Day gifts. They didn't tell me to say that, but just if you're trying to find something like cool and high-end that somebody might not have tried yet, that will make them feel like $1,000,000. Highly recommend. As we head into spring, you guys might be asking a question that I often find myself asking. Does the perfect sandal exist? And I'm here to tell you it does. The Mark Fisher Hollande sandal, it's effortless sophistication meets versatility, and I wear them constantly, and I have 2 pairs in different colors. And they're it's a delicate strap. I have them in nude and black, 2 delicate cross straps perpendicular to the feet, a perfect kitten heel. We're wearing kitten heels now. I don't know if you heard. It's a minimal silhouette. It transitions effortlessly from day to night, which no millennial wants anything that doesn't go day to night. And you can pair it with trousers, with breezy dresses, like to cuff a jean sometime. I'll post a photo. I'm wearing them this week for Easter. It's a modern staple with timeless appeal, and Hollande is a definition of effortless refinement. But more importantly, Mark Fisher Ltd as a whole, it is casual luxury defined. Their collection seamlessly combines wardrobe essentials with the most coveted trends, high-quality materials, understated details. They have barely their minimalist heels, but they have dramatic, tall boots you can wear in the desert. This is one of my favorite advertisers, and I'm so happy seasonally when I get to share about them because I just think they are consistently the strongest, most high-quality shoe brand that provides on-trend footwear at a reasonable price that is kind of my go-to when I'm like, what shoes are we wearing for X? This spring, this event, open toe, so on and so. Mark Fisher is always ahead of the curve and curates the perfect shoe selection for a given season that not only is going to be relevant to the times we're in, but transcends multiple seasons to where I'm still wearing stuff from when I first started working with them in 2020. I've also been rocking the Ivana, the epitome of effortless everyday style. It's like a ballet flat with a strap, kind of a Mary Jane, but with a woven silhouette. And they're just, an endlessly wearable shoe that can skew fancy or can skew super beachy casual. Build your vacation-ready wardrobe from the ground up. Shop the new summer collection now using their friends and family sale for an extra 25% off your purchase at markfisherfootwear.com with code FRIENDS25. Sale is going on now through 4/21. That's MARCFISHER footwear.com, code FRIENDS25. And if you're listening to this after April 21st, you can always use code BeThereIn5 for 20% off as well. What's funny about Mousewater Blonde, that was just a 2-second conversation with me and Nora because we both kind of have been rocking our natural hair color to a degree. But I've never not had blonder ends, kind of like a balayage, shadow root, whatever. But over time, the dark peeks through, it gets brassier. You just can't, even if you try to do something interesting with the color, you really have to be in a chair for a 6-hour work day, every 6 weeks if you want to maintain that particular color. But then sometimes in a 4 to 6 week period, it's okay, I'll get it done in January. I don't emerge from my house until the Ides of March. And by then I already have grad. It's already I didn't even enjoy it while I had it. So I want to get it around events and times I have visibility or photos or want to feel good about myself. But then most people have a 19-week wait list. It's a racket. So Mousewater Blonde, it's just kind of a funny, weird manifestation because I wasn't even planning on doing my hair. I kind of liked where it was at. And then this week I went to get a haircut. It's when you're in a kind of looks rut or in a funk, cutting your hair is symbolic. And while I was there, I was at a new place because it's pretty hard to mess up long hair. And she was great with the haircut. But yeah, what I think happened is, so I've gotten a glaze or a gloss a million times because I'm brassy and it brightens things. So I was yeah, sure, let's do it. But I think she used the shade of my roots and not my ends, and it completely took out any and all blonde I ever had. I mean, the money I saw draining down the sink. Because how the best part of lived in blonde is the multi-dimensional highlights you've had over the years that stay there as your hair grows. Anyway, whatever. Obviously this washes out over time. It fades. It's not a big deal. This whole thing's not a big deal. To quote everybody this week, Kim, there's people that are dying when talking to Katy Perry and co. And E.T. can phone Holmes to me because I, quite frankly, we all know, look like Elizabeth Holmes. I'm a third cocktail away from it at all times. And people tell me I look like her all the time, unfortunately, because I did that Halloween costume. Major regrets. I was kind of trying to sit in that feeling that even though I know this is not the most important thing, and this is kind of embarrassing to admit, I was kind of trying to sit in the feeling of why is it so fucking jarring when you spend the time to like get your hair done or excited and need a change and you come out feeling like you look worse. Not since I was 12 or 13 have I had hair this dark. And again, I will probably get it. I think I have an appointment in mid-May. We'll just do we'll do a partial balayage. We'll sun-kissed. We'll be back in business. It's not that serious. But I was kind of spiraling, being like, oh God, I have stuff to do. I don't have time to go back. I look so dull. And, you know, the Sarah and tall of it all. But then I was like, do I really not like this? Like, why my whole life have I been like, no, I can't dye my hair brown. I can't go dark. Is it because I don't like it? Or is it because I have no memory of ever being like well received when my hair wasn't like super bright blonde? You know what I mean? And this is like such a niche specific thing to Mouseketeers. But I think it goes back to like, Money with Katy. She calls it the hot girl hamster wheel. The choices we make when we're younger that are reinforced by the people around us when they tell us we look good doing certain things. And the way we then like go on this life trajectory of spending so much time and money, resources to maintain it. And when you want to make a change, like why do the stakes feel so high? And why does a departure like feel so serious and existential and like you've lost a part of your identity? I don't know how to explain it. And, you know, appearance-based stuff is a hard thing where you kind of feel weird by how much sometimes looks-based stuff affects you, especially in my case, postpartum, because it's so inconsequential in the grand scheme of things and you would never trade off what you've experienced for what you feel like you've lost. But I also think it's like more offensive to deny the reality of how much of our self-worth we're conditioned to correlate it to our appearance. And I just think it becomes really confusing when you no longer have the time or desire to be on that hot girl hamster wheel. Yet want to look cute, want to look fresh to death. I don't know, you guys. Have you guys seen Stassi lately? Morgan Stewart. There's so many people that are kind of rocking natural color blonde that I'm just like, this looks amazing on you and is like chill and low maintenance. And there's something cooler to me about not having a perfect highlight. And I think I wish I liked it better on me. Anyway, I was doing some research on like the history of kind of, you know, I wasn't sure if like mousy, dishwater, dirty, like had roots. And in terms of like, why are people so annoying if your hair color doesn't fit into like a more like rich or bright extreme? And by people, I mean me. Like, why are my eyes trained? Why am I conditioned? Why have I internalized that like I need to pick one, like blonde or brunette type thing? And like, obviously there's some real troubling racial ideologies having to do with favoritism toward blonde hair that we don't need to deep dive on this podcast that are pretty obvious. And in general, I think that like blondness, whiteness, like there's a lot here. I think it's fair to acknowledge that like so many elements of beauty standards are shaped by historical forces that have troubling back histories. And even like, it's also what kind of history you're looking at too, because apparently like mousiness wasn't preferred in like Roman society because they wanted, like women wanted to look angelic and angels were associated with gold. So like cool tone blonde hair wasn't the vibe. You wanted like gold, like brassy blonde hair, which is interesting because yeah, every purple product under the sun has emerged in the past 10 years trying to put the ass in brass. Or not. What? Take it out of it, I guess. Take the whatever. And I just don't even know how to express how confusing it is and to have like internalized that. I mean, like I literally had a summer I turned pretty, and by pretty nothing changed about me, but I put sun in my hair bleached, and then all of a sudden boys started talking to me. I don't know if I don't like my hair a certain color or if it, like this exact color is what my hair was like middle and early high school before I highlighted, LOL, sprayed a $3 bottle of formaldehyde or whatever the hell it was on it. I don't know if anybody else feels this way that has like the in-between hair. You just like experience how people react to you in the same way when people are like, you look great, or like, have you done something different? And the thing that's changed is like you've lost weight. It's like kind of, even though people don't mean it, it kind of reinforces and tells you like what people value and what looking good means. And I think over time you internalize like, oh my God, if I don't do this thing, I'm not acceptable, or I don't look pretty, or I'm not my best self and whatever. And then I think when you have kids and become a mom, that whole like letting yourself go trope like eats away at you and subliminally. And I'm speaking in the universal you as if you guys experience this too. And I don't mean to be projecting, but like you do have less time and you don't want to be spending time in salon chairs. And for all the ways society misinterprets this to be something you should pity me for, as if I have to spend so much time with my kids and I, can't spend time on my appearance. Can you imagine? Poor thing. To assume that spending less time on that stuff is a negative thing is the most fucked up part of all of it. Because I think, for the first time the past couple of years, my brain and body were more consumed by things that, felt more important than my appearance, God forbid. And the thing about being a new mom is you're being onboarded to another full-time job that isn't treated like one, and you're pretty short on headspace and spare time. And, I don't even think I realized my reliance on a lot of beauty rituals until I physically ran out of time to perform them. And I don't say that in a way that I feel sad about that. I actually think it was one of the more empowering processes when I chose to adapt my routine to my current circumstances rather than modify myself to forever be obsessing about fitting into my old one. And there's lots of beauty things I still spend a ton of time on because they're for me and I love them. And there's a lot of things I don't really like doing that I've done a lot less of. And to be like, oh, poor thing, she can't get her hair highlighted. It's like, fuck you. I'm proud of myself for not spending my precious time in a salon chair to heed a nominal improvement to my appearance just for some internalized bullshit about people telling me I looked better blonde. So I feel like I need to be blonde when I want to feel good about myself. But the reality is I don't even dress up or go anywhere or leave my house enough to even feel like I need to look good. Because on the average day, I am blessed to not have to be staring in a mirror and obsessing over my appearance because it doesn't really fucking matter. But when I want to look cute, I want to look cute. And I do want a fresh highlight. So I don't know what to do about it. But even having small moments like postpartum or thinking, I remember when I went on national TV and didn't have highlighted hair for my book, I was like, God, I am brave. and I'm serious. I think sometimes realizing that opting out of some of these beauty rituals, doing that, feeling courageous to me was the most educational of all, because courage implies there are pressures and expectations I feared I wasn't meeting. And me feeling courageous is the one thing that helped me see through the thin veil of labeling these things as self-care. You know what I mean? I think that the beauty of having a kid is that it was such an extreme life change that it was the first time I was forced to ask myself if those expectations I feared I wasn't meeting were mine in the first place. I don't even know what I'm saying, but I think that I go through periods of life where I do and don't care more about my look, but then I'll go through a long time of not really thinking too much about it. And then go out in the world or to a wedding or be around friends. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just not keeping up with things. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to not feel cute. I don't want to not feel like myself. But then I have to ask myself, well, who is she? When you say yourself, it's a former version of you that you aren't anymore, and that's fine too. Who do you want to be going forward? It doesn't always have to be the 25-year-old version of yourself. And the great irony of me saying all this is what are two of my advertisers this week? It's stuff that I use and love, but it's anti-aging and it's skin smoothing stuff. And this is the dilemma I always have. It's I use this stuff and I want to look youthful and cute, and I don't. That's not oppressive to me. It might be to other people. And I don't really like when people push down my throat that I'm not allowed to care about that. But at the same time, it's I don't know, you guys. I don't have the answers. I want to believe that beauty and empowerment aren't mutually exclusive. And we can celebrate the joy of self-expression without reinforcing toxic ideals. But I don't know how. It's always going to be a little bit of both. And TLDR, do you think I should highlight my hair? Get back to me. That's what all this was about. And I guess what I'm saying is I feel there's just a lot that goes into your confusing feelings about your appearance. In any life transition, whether it's postpartum or otherwise, when you just have less time to spend on it. And I both wish I had time to spend on it, but it also really pisses me off that there's kind of the societal trope of moms spending so much time with their kids and being overwhelmed that they can't, unfortunately, spend time on their appearances, and they let themselves go as if it's some factual inevitability. But I'm who's to say the way I show up isn't my choice? And who's to say that this is a sign of failure when I kind of think it's a sign of freedom in a way? To deprioritize one's appearance is a beautiful thing. And there have been very few parts of my life where I've been busy and consumed in such a positive way that that has been the last thing on my mind. And I feel like I'm going to cry. That was something so empowering to me. But there's a part of me that also, to say I don't feel most alive when I'm feeling cute, wearing an outfit that's to die, it'd be a lie. I've never known a world where my appearance isn't tied to my worth in some way as a woman. I don't know life outside of the funhouse mirror that we all have to deal with our whole lives, where there's this distortion that is impossible to get past, where you're not sure if the way you see things is a function of your own opinions or the things you've internalized over the years due to the constant surveillance of our and other people's appearances. We hear and then therefore assume it must be being done to us too. But what am I saying? It's a women's world and we live in it. Oh, anyway, I think much like Katy Perry's follow-up second single, Bon Appetit, that was not well received relative to her first that was supposed to have a little bit more meaning from her album Witness and Chained to the Rhythm. I'm going to follow up that segment that was a bit more introspective with something that is utterly shallow and shameful. When I say that upon analyzing Katy Perry's career trajectory and its decline, where I went from weeping with her in a Katy Perry Part of Me 3D in theaters with my 3D glasses on, which I saw multiple times alone, because I thought it was so powerful how she was broken up with on the phone. She was losing her mind backstage. And then to go out, she's in Brazil. She's performing for thousands. I thought it was one of the most real, raw, fascinating examples of the performance of self, where you have to suppress everything you're going through and everything about your actual self to be the version of you people are paying to see at all costs. And I simply could never. And I was amazed. I was impressed. I was on board. She was a part of me that you're never, ever, ever going to take away from me. But then at some point, somewhere along the way, she became a person I never thought about, whose albums I would never even know are coming out or get excited for, whose songs I haven't heard in years. And despite my forever devotion to the song Teenage Dream, I just didn't have any existing, enthusiasm, grace, reason to give her the benefit of the doubt when she put the S in astronaut. And I was like, why do I feel like Katy Perry's just so corny and out of touch? Has that always been her? And I kind of went back and re-examined it a bit in case anybody cares. I'll just go through very top line. And the thing I'm going to say that is probably problematic that I wish weren't the case, but Katy Perry's decline commercially, I'm not trying to be mean or petty or Katy Perry about this, just literally in album sales. I have to float as a hypothesis. If the theme today is bad feminism, I really do think that this is so bad. I think that you can't, not everyone can just show up out of nowhere with a rogue pixie cut, okay? Okay? I don't. And I think that when she was promoting Witness and we all got the swish swish ick from that song and video and Bon Appetit Baby in this era, so many things went wrong. But I think it started with a pixie cut. And the worst part is I found research to back it up. I know we're all excited for spring, but I will say I'm not excited when I hear you guys are still sleeping on old mattresses with springs digging in your back, because it's time to upgrade. It's time to get your best night's sleep and get a Helix mattress. I've been trying to tell you for 5 years. They're a long-standing partner of Be There in 5. I have 3 of them in my house. They are life-changing, high-quality, substantive mattresses you should not feel scared about buying on the internet. And I would feel scared about buying a lot of mattresses on the internet. But what initially drew me to them, they have a sleep quiz and they ask you specific questions about firmness, about if you're a backside or stomach sleeper, which no one else does. That matters in terms of sleep position for the kind of support you need. They ask about your partner. They ask if you sleep hot or cold, any particular issues. They have mattresses for kids, for tall sleepers. They've got it all. My mom was just here for almost 2 weeks, and she could not speak more highly of the Helix Midnight we have in our guest room. We have a Sunset somewhere. We also have a Helix Dusk Lux, which is what I sleep on. These are just, I don't know. I'm proud to have them sponsor this show. And so many bests have reached out about their quality of life and sleep that has improved ever since. And I know buying a mattress on the internet can be daunting. And if you don't want to take the best's word for it for some, confidence in it. Also, they have a 100-night sleep trial because I think they get it. They also will stand by their product. I think so few people return them. But you can try it for 100 nights and then return it for a full refund. No questions asked. I'm amazed by the quality for the price. I've never heard of Beth that has told me they've returned it. And they've even done studies, a Westboro sleep study. 82% of participants saw an increase in their deep sleep cycle. They got 39 more minutes of overall sleep per night. Even though I think the Beth should be the only endorsement you need. It also won a Good Housekeeping Award, Wirecutter, Forbes, the GQ Sleep Awards 2025 Best Hybrid Mattress. So if you're ready for the best sleep of your life, go to helixsleep.com/BeThereIn5 for the spring savings event, which is 20% off site-wide through April 30th, 2025. That's helixsleep.com/BeThereIn5 for 20% off site-wide now through April 30th. This episode is brought to you by Ritual. I think we all participated in a questionable beauty trend or two over the years. Things you might have tried with lackluster results, multi-step routines that waste your time and energy. But Ritual's Hyacera product I've used for years now, and it's a multi-step skincare supplement in one daily capsule. And I think that since, with the exception of my night cream, I'm not always great at remembering to do a skincare routine, nor do I like the multi-step ones. And I love the idea of skincare from within. And I just like Ritual in general because they're all about supply chain transparency. You see everything that goes into their products online. They do clinical testing, and it's an unregulated category, and they just do the most to provide legitimate information that, consumers deserve to have about things they're putting in their bodies. And Hyacera is a once daily skin supplement clinically proven to increase skin smoothness in 90 days. If one of your goals is to reduce fine lines, that's part of smoothing. And in a clinical study, Hyacera led to a 2.9x increase in skin smoothness within 90 days as compared to placebo. And Hyacera subjects reported an improvement in skin elasticity, glow, and radiance in 90 days. Those are 3 things I'm always after. I also love these capsules because they don't make me ill. They have a nice soothing vanilla aftertaste, and they're rigorously tested and validated by a third party for allergens, microbes, heavy metals. And Ritual, of course, is a certified B Corp with supplements that are made traceable, vegan, gluten-free. And I just appreciate all that they do to have safe products that do interesting things like promote skincare from within. I just think it's a really interesting concept. And I just feel like it's helped me supplement literally the times in my life where I'm maybe not keeping up with my routine as much as I should be. So if you want to start Hyacera to support your glow without compromising on clean science, get 25% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/BeThereIn5. Start Ritual or add Hyacera to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/BeThereIn5 for 25% off. I do think Band-Aids Don't Fix Bullet Holes was a big part of this decline. I think that her choice of collaborators was a choice of decline. But there were other people than Dr. Luke, and I don't think that's it alone. And when she worked with them again for 143, her latest album, obviously the backlash was awful. Because the theme is Katy reads the room, fires the missiles, going from her first album at $4 million in sales, her second album to I think $7-8 million in sales. We're not going for precision, we're going for proportions. To her third album, Prism, being at between 4 and 5. To Witness being 800,000. To Smile being 400,000. To her most recent one, I think in 100 some thousand. These numbers are a sharp decline. And yeah, does it all drop off between 2014 and 2015 when Band-Aids didn't fix bullet holes? Yeah, it does. And for a while, I was okay, yeah, we have the era of Mad Love. We have the era of Bad Blood. So, okay, actually, I need to take a step back. We'll get to Pixie Cut. I promise this won't take too long because I don't know if anybody really cares about this, but there was so much dialogue about Katy Perry this week. And I was do people not like Katy Perry? Or just really not like this whole ass and astronaut situation? I think it's more of the latter. I don't think most people have really strong feelings about her other than some of her core controversies, kissing someone on American Idol. Obviously, the horror of the Dr. Luke situation. Didn't she kill some nuns? I couldn't quite figure out where I lost interest and where I just found the corniness to get to a level where it wasn't satirical or subversive or comedic or whimsy or cute. It just felt cheesy as fuck, Kelly Dodd jokes. I'm into fitness whole burger into my mouth type of stuff where you're just I like clever, but it's corny is just a different story. Katy Perry peaked with Teenage Dream, which debuted at #1 and sold more than 6 million copies. In 2011, she became the second artist after King of Pop, Michael Jackson himself, to have 5 #1 singles from one album thanks to the success of Teenage Dream and the later edition Teenage Dream, The Complete Confection, which did have the song E.T., which coincidentally is about space. One of my theories about Katy Perry is that a lot of her, the song Teenage Dream, for example, is not only a fucking banger. I love that song. That song meant the world to me at the time. Even when I hear it still, I have feelings. And I think it's because I was it was kind of around the time when I had just met Greg, and I don't know. But it's a song that is formulaic in a pop sense for what is catchy and makes for a hit. But it has lyrics you can connect to. And there's an authenticity to it that has the best of both worlds, which is I think you connect to what it's saying and you also like how it sounds. And this matters in some genres more than others. But I think that she took some of what made her singles huge, thought that it was more about the formula than the formula and the sentiment, and completely abandoned needing to have any sort of substance or interesting thing going on lyrically to just have cheeseball pop music. And can I explain why I'm gonna get your heart racing and my skin tight jeans be your teenage dream tonight? It gives me butterflies and tell me what's next. Alien sex. I'm gonna disrobe you, then I'm gonna probe you. See, I abducted you, so I tell you what to do. Why those two things make me feel so vastly different? I don't know. I could tell you exactly why I don't particularly have an alien kink, and I find Kanye's part of that song gross, and it's just kind of a generally bad song that's a little too themey for my liking. If you're going to do an alien abduction song, do down bad. Make it subtext, make it subtle. Did you really beam me up? It took me a long time to figure out what we were talking about. That song's not really about being abducted, it's a broader metaphor, but it's not like, take me in your spaceship, do it in a spacesuit while I wear a moon boot. Those aren't the lyrics, I forget the lyrics. Honestly, if she really wanted to connect with the people, she should have talked about the phenomenon that is astronaut ice cream, something that every kid in the 90s bought at a science museum gift shop and claimed to like, my sister included. When you think about whatever the hell that was, I feel like it's kind of gross, and I don't know if astronauts really take up tinfoil packaged ice cream and eat it as a sweet treat when they're stuck against their will in space with something they might not even like for 9 months. That poor woman! Regardless, what was I saying? After Teenage Dream came Prism, which sold 4 million copies, and Roar was the biggest hit she's ever had. It's still the biggest #1 single she's ever had. I loved Roar. I was in my girl boss era. I was in the era Katy Perry is in now, where she thinks representation and unity demonstrated in a feminist context is, best exemplified by personal gain that really benefits nobody else and arguably makes people worse off with the amount of resources you took up. But because you're giving yourself kind of a vanity metric title of what it does for women, that means you're really doing something. We were leaning in. It was a different time. And Roar, I would listen to it and do all the things we were doing back then, like watching TED Talks about power posing. So I'd like power pose and listen to Roar or go into a meeting with like marketing executives to talk about an ad about canned tuna. I like that song was it. What a song. That also had Dark Horse and This Is How We Do. This Is How We Do is the richest fucking song. Anyway, and then I'm kind of just going through some of because when I'm talking about her like being huge or having big songs, you might not even remember like how many hits she had, but she did have several, mostly in Teenage Dream and Prism more specifically. So her from 1 to 10 biggest singles by commercial success: Roar, 1, 2, Dark Horse, kind of surprises me. 3, Firework, excellent. 4, California Girls, excellent, left sharp. 5, I Kissed a Girl. 6, Hot and Cold. 7, Teenage Dream. 8, E.T. 9, Last Friday Night, TGIF, featuring Rebecca Black, as we know. 10, Part of Me. Okay, I think songs like Roar and Firework, people like found meaning and motivation, and they worked for an ambitious time when it was the Obama administration and we had the world ahead of us, and despite a looming recession, it was okay. We had Groupons and a dream, and the future was ours. LOL. But yeah, stuff like Firework and Roar made me feel a certain way then. I think I Kissed a Girl was a perfect debut because it was provocative. And the other song of that era, Hot and Cold, they were just like fun, upbeat listens, and it was a type of pop we weren't really seeing at the time. I think that songs like Teenage Dream, Roar, Firework, and Part of Me are all songs that like people can kind of personally connect to, and whether it's motivating or nostalgic or about falling in love, or Part of Me was like released following her divorce from Russell Brand. It was a huge song at the time. I think people could connect with her at that point. When we get into Prism, yes, we have her #2 hit, which is her third album, Dark Horse. That's not one of my favorites, and I'm kind of surprised that that's #2, to be honest. But after that, like, she literally has nothing that ever performs ever. Every single #1 hit she's had is from 2013 or prior, release-wise, if my research is serving me. And, I forgot to talk about California Girls. California Girls is just a fun song. And Snoop's part was great, and Teenage Dream gave us something a little catchy and substantive, and California Girls was just pure bubblegum pop, and it was great. And her, like, whole cartoonish aesthetic was kind of working at the time. And yeah, like all those songs, with the exception of Dark Horse, make sense to me for their performance. I don't really know what Katy Perry's up to following Prism prior to Witness. So the day that Witness came out, we're at a point where people are mostly streaming, right, in terms of like performance. And Taylor Swift wasn't on Spotify. If you remember the Apple Music letter, she was very anti-streaming. Her entire catalog wasn't on Spotify. She put it out on Spotify the exact same day Witness dropped, which was June 10th, 2017. And said it was because of celebrating the 10 years of her fans, like, appreciating her music or something. Or maybe it was either June 9th at midnight or June 10th, but it was something to do with the number 10. But yeah, it was when Witness came out, which was the first album Katy Perry had put out since the Bad Blood era, where Taylor made it clear she was in a feud with Katy Perry. And I have absolutely no doubt that that probably affected Witness's ability to break through and perform, because people were super stoked all of a sudden to have free access to all of Taylor Swift's discography. Like, the woman's powerful. And yeah, a bit of a shady move if you ask me. Karma's going to track you down step by step from town to town, but Taylor Swift's also going to track you down literally herself, methodically, because she takes revenge so seriously, and she will release her entire back catalog on Spotify the same day that your next album comes out in a way that probably did materially affect your career for years to come. So I don't know if that's karma, T Swift, or as much as it is your scheming, but hey, it's so sad to think about the good times, you and I. Regardless, I think Witness had a lot of things working against it, but like when you consider these prior albums, it had no number ones, and it was a part of this pivot she was doing to purposeful pop following the 2016 election. What was Witness's lead single? Oh, it first was Chained to the Rhythm. It peaked at number 4, and it was her attempt to take a more socially conscious direction, but then she followed up with Bon Appetit, which is the grossest song in the entire world. It peaked at 59 on Billboard. And then she had Swish Swish featuring Nicki Minaj that peaked at number 46. And it was like the Taylor Swift diss track. And there were a couple other singles I've never even heard of in my life. Save As Draft and Hey Hey Hey. This was a drastic decline from her previous albums. Regardless, album sales going down year over year isn't uncommon, especially with the prevalence of streaming and just the ways the world has changed. And when you look at what could be the catalyst, and when everything kind of changed from 2014, I think you can pinpoint a few key things. One is the purposeful pop pivot that I mentioned earlier, which following the 2016 election, which she was a huge Hillary Clinton supporter. Katy Perry was more politically active during this time, which is something that I love in a lot of artists. And a lot of us were very disoriented and concerned and wanting to do something post-2016 when I think we naively didn't see the election coming out that way. She, I think, was also kind of going through a metamorphosis of her own, in a way a lot of artists do. I think Katy Perry was going out of her way at this point to not be the version of Katy Perry that everybody knew and loved, that maybe wasn't truest to her, but was provided her the most commercial success, which happens a lot with art. The thing that is the biggest departure from who you are is the thing that people want to see the most. And I think that this makes people a little bit crazy. I think that when you made enough money, you take some creative risks. You vomit on stage in the name of performance art, a la art pop. You twerk on stage with Robin Thicke. You get on a wrecking ball. You want to shed your former self. And my take on pop with purpose is that I've seen this with my own like podcast downloads and like reception in a much smaller way. It's like when you hit a point where you're putting something out into the world and you no longer can feel like a complete bystander there for entertainment that doesn't regularly inject their values and political beliefs into what they do, it turns off a lot of people. You lose a ton of people and it doesn't serve you in any way. I don't know the right way you do this at her scale, but like, I think there are ways you can make statements with your art, even if it is like mainstream pop. But I think sometimes they need to be like more subtext or more in like lyrics and themes than in the overt like marketing. Because when you market something as like purposeful and political, it kind of seems like you're capitalizing. Versus when you just start to more organically inject in the DNA of your body of work, things that are more aligned with like your political and personal values over time. And I think a lot of artists have done that and have made more meaningful stuff. But something about labeling it purposeful pop, and I think the marketing of that era just like turned people off from even giving it a chance to like listen to like what it actually was. And beyond that, she kind of proved that it like wasn't really about that. And following up Chained to the Rhythm with Bon Appetit, which is literally the grossest song and video of all time. It makes me ill. It's people kneading her like dough and twisting her limbs around. Got me spread like a buffet. Bon Appetit, baby. And I also think 2017, like, I think we'd kind of moved on. Even if she had done the more bubblegum thing, I don't think we were there, because I do think there are shifts in taste that happen alongside major social, political, cultural shifts in like the broader world. And I think that, you know, people that maybe we're listening to Katy Perry in a more hopeful pre-2016. We're now listening to Lord's melodrama in 2017. Like, I don't know. What the hell do I know? But I do think the times had changed. But the way I'm relating this back to the central conversation here is to say something that I don't want to say, that I wish weren't the case, that I don't love about society, but I think is an unfortunate reality to link back to our hair affects us. I'm going to attribute Katy Perry's drastic career decline to her pixie cut. Don't kill the messenger. But we've seen it happen. We saw it happen in 2021 with Demi Lovato. Bless her heart, after a near-fatal overdose. Who cares about her hair? But people were so over-focused on it, and I think it kind of distracted from her trying to put out her album, Dancing with the Devil, and that the art of starting over. And the online ridicule was kind of the thing we talked about the most, in the album underperformed commercially. We also saw this happen with Hermione. Emma Watson cut her hair in 2010. Harry Potter era, she was done with. Now, maybe people didn't ridicule her the most, but it was shocking, and I think this was her way of shedding the past. Who also did this right before twerking on stage with Robin Thicke? Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus, one of the best of no worlds, wanted nothing to do with Hannah Montana, wanted to shed her Disney Channel image. And we were entering bangers, which is full of bangers, and I love bangers, and I treasure bangers. And that was not her flop era. This is an era where she achieved commercial success. She came in like a wrecking ball. But Miley Cyrus was at a different point in her career than Katy Perry. She was at a point of genuine transformation from her old self, and Katy Perry seemed to be more at a performative one. Oh, we also have Madonna. After facing criticism for her 92 album Erotica, Madonna appeared with the blonde pixie cut during the Girly Show tour, and this is another instance where a dramatic haircut coincided with career backlash. So it's not that pixie cut equals a flop. It means that pixie cuts are typically signifiers that there is something major going on behind the scenes. And whether or not the public is ready for that transition is really going to depend on the quality of the work, one, and two, if you have recently stolen anybody's backup dancers, of course. And the reason I feel like a terrible hypocrite is because Katy Perry said her pixie cut was so liberating and everything is more fun with short hair and she can just get up and go. And she feels so liberated with this hair now. And that's the exact argument I'm making. It's like, why are we feeling bad for people? Like, if they've let themselves go in terms of letting themselves go of oppressive beauty standards they never wanted to uphold in the first place, but it felt like they had to maintain their youth and relevance because they had the time for it. But then once they were forced to not have the time for it and they forewent them and realized they were still happy and fulfilled anyway, what a beautiful thing. I just think that when you are doing such a departure from your previous persona, and it's not like, oh, I was a kid, now I'm adult, not a girl, not a woman, Disney to dance floor bangers, Hogwarts to hot girl status. It's just kind of like 20s to 30s, which is a big transition. And caring more about what's going on in the world than like putting out bubblegum pop, I guess. It's not that I undermine that. I just don't know if its execution really landed. And I found a blog post from an entertainment journalist named Avery Hearing from 2024 called Katy Perry and the Curse of the Pixie Cut. Said, sure, just about every female pop star has been faced with a commercial or critical flop as a result of some artistic experimentation. But just about everything wrong with Perry's reinvention seemed to come back to this damn haircut. The numbers tell the story. Chained to the Rhythm peaked at number 4, Bon Appetit 59, Swish Swish 46. I feel like those are different numbers than I read earlier. Critics directly connected the image change to the album's failure. The Fordham Observer wrote that Perry's behavior, a poorly received new haircut, and other factors would lead the general public to completely turn on Perry during the Witness era. She has yet to gain back fan support. The connection between the haircut and the failure has persisted years later. When Perry recently appeared in what looked like another short haircut, which turned out to be a wig, fans immediately commented, "When we said justice for Witness, we didn't mean recreate it." And the haircut had become shorthand for career missteps. All of her, like the Katy Cats were freaking out. They were like, no, would you just even pretended to, like, it's such a trope in and outside of her fandom. She uses it to troll and tease her own fans. Can you imagine if I had this haircut again? Because clearly this haircut is responsible for my flop. Apparently, according to this Observer article, she fell into a depression, one that she now recognizes as being driven by an unhealthy obsession with the charts and the public's perception of her. Fashion writers have even noted that now some fans blame the album's lack of critical success on the haircut. This demonstrates how powerfully this visual transformation became linked to her commercial disappointment. With Witness, Perry indicates she'd grown tired of the booming arena pop she'd made a career off of and was in search of something more resonant, minimalistic dance pop infused with lukewarm personal and political awakenings. I don't know if it was a bad album. I haven't heard most of it, but the things people talked about in that era, or the only things I remember from that era, are two things: her pixie cut, and that she had a singular eyeball emerging from her mouth, and people thought she was in the Illuminati. What's significant here isn't the haircut itself. It's more so how it functioned as both a personal statement and a cultural turning point with measurable commercial consequences. And it's kind of just like a symbolic thing. And in April 2017, just before releasing her album Witness, she explained to Vogue, "I've seen behind the curtain and I can't go back. I used to be the queen of innuendo, everything done with a wink. Now I want to be the queen of subtext, which is a cousin to innuendo, but it's got more purpose." And so that's kind of like her dramatic image change was supposed to be this physical manifestation toward what she called purposeful pop. And yeah, the public reaction was brutal, which I feel bad for. I mean, to be clear, multiple factors contributed here, but the pixie cut, I think, is where it appropriately came to a head. I think in the fandom and in the world of pop music, it's just kind of seen as this dramatic reinvention that audiences weren't prepared for, and that Katy Perry herself may have even been ambivalent about and done to make a statement that, I don't know, when people do things preemptively and not in a way that's something that they're healed from or a conviction they have, but a thing they're trying out. The haircut, yeah, changed her appearance, but it wasn't about that. It signaled a fundamental shift in her artistic identity that ultimately disconnected her from the formula that had made her a superstar. And I think she just never quite recovered. If I had more time, I'd get into Convent Gate, but this isn't intended to be a KPDD deep dive. Sorry, I didn't like that. Actually, really fast, because I just think this is a crazy story. So in 2015, when she was at the height of the Prism era success, she was in this really weird property dispute with a group of elderly nuns that had a weird tragic ending. This episode is brought to you by Amika. I will say, when I got my hair cut, I was complimented at length about the strength and length of my hair. And I hadn't had it cut in forever. I barely needed it because stuff like Midnight Mender helped me with my split ends. Soul Food Nourishing Mask, you guys, it has a cult following for a reason. It's an ultra luxurious hair mask that's rich and creamy, but doesn't weigh your hair down. I will put it in kind of like top of ears down. It conditions the hair and makes it so soft and silky and packed with all of the good things that make it shine. It's such a secret weapon to make your hair soft and silky and smoother each time more than the next. Somehow, never gets old. It's perfect for all hair types, especially if you need deep hydration. It's like a cool drink of water for your hair, whether you're in the desert wearing combat boots at the beach or sitting in a Chicago basement. We could all use a little hydration now and again. And you can use it as a weekly treatment. I honestly anymore use it like everyday conditioner after Amika's Normcore or volume boosting or Cure shampoo. I've been alternating. And you let it penetrate for 5 to 7 minutes and rinse. I showed you on Instagram as I promised I would. And go to the Amika highlight if you want to see it in action. But they have all sorts of different products for different needs. I mean, they have 11 collections to ensure there are options for all hair types, textures, and styles, which I love about them. They also gave my son a book about hair, and it's a kid's book that goes through all the different types of hair and like how like it's kind of, Sesame Street vibes were different, were the same, and just I don't know. I love like stuff that normalizes that. And I just think their company has great values. And that was a very sweet thing for them to do. One, but two, you can take a quiz and find out your hair type on the website if it helps you, and it'll recommend products. But they have masks for different needs, like the Cure Intense Strength Repair Mask is another ultra-rich mask clinically proven to strengthen, reduce breakage, and deliver major moisture. Amika means friend, and they are definitely a friend to be there in 5. For April, they are giving us best a one-time use code for 15% off your first order through the end of April. Just go to loveamika.com/BeThereIn5 and use code BeThereIn5 at checkout. That's loveamika.com/BeThereIn5, code BeThereIn5 to get 15% off your first order. When it comes to grocery shopping, I've got a problem. And that problem is I hate it. That'll change to Hungryroot, the easiest way to eat healthy. I'm not good at meal planning. I'm good at going into a grocery store hungry and then buying stuff I never use. And Hungryroot is like having your own personal shopper. They take care of the weekly grocery shopping, recommending healthy groceries tailored to your taste, nutrition preferences, and health goals. And I think that this is really key for 2 things. One, if a meal delivery service frustrates you because it requires you to like cook and have a lot of different pots and pans, and it's just a little complicated for some nights, even though you're in the mood for it for others, I hear you. Or if you like getting your groceries delivered, but like then don't know how to feel inspired and what to do with them, it sits in the middle. It delivers you groceries, and it gives you full-size groceries and recipes. So you can make the recipe if you want to with the groceries you have, but if you don't make the recipes, you're not stuck with a pinch of thyme and a half onion. You can actually, use the groceries for whatever you want. And typically the recipes are like 3-4 ingredients or 1 pan, and they're just so easy and they taste good. And it gives me ideas because I just don't always know. I don't know. I'm struggling with stuff that both my husband and I and the baby want to eat. And Hungryroot's great because they make it easy to eat high quality, nutritious food and achieve any diet or health goals. From anti-inflammatory, a lot of people are into their gut these days. They got gut friendly. Gluten-free, dairy-free, high protein. I should do high protein. Everyone's talking about protein right now. Protein's so hot right now. But they just make grocery shopping simple and stress-free. They make meals simple and stress-free. You can also get snacks, desserts, cute little things to take on the go, hummus and cracker sets, little bags of sliced pickles. They have great options for the whole family with smoothies, snacks, sweets, ready-to-eat meals, salad kits, supplements, whatever you need. We love their sous vide chicken. I also made an incredible burger that they like. What's nice is like, okay, you get ground beef, you get some cheese, you get buns or a bread of some kind. I could make a burger, or I could put that meat in pasta with a side of bread. Or, you guys get it. I could make tacos, like taco salad. There's so many different things I could do with the same ingredients that it's just a real thrill for me that it gives me that kind of flexibility for making what I feel like on that given day in ways that I simply cannot predict how I'm going to feel when I'm electing my meals for the week with most services. And you're going to love Hungryroot as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/BeThereIn5 and use code BeThereIn5. That's hungryroot.com/BeThereIn5, code BeThereIn5 to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/BeThereIn5, code BeThereIn5. So she wanted this 8-acre hilltop property in Los Feliz in LA. It's like this Roman villa style building, had an attached convent that had been vacant since 2011. So she offers $14.5 million in cash to the LA Archdiocese for the property and wanted to convert it to her private residence where she could live with her mom and grandma, I guess. But the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the old TSIH BVM, believe they own the property, not the archdiocese. And the nuns had purchased the estate, allegedly, in 1972 with their own money and lived there until 2011 when they say they were forced to relocate by the archdiocese. I'm so interested. I might follow up on that. So, like, if you're a nun, I suppose you could have generational wealth, but and I'm sure you make like a stipend, but how would nuns be buying a multi-million-dollar mansion in LA? But it wasn't actually theirs, and they could still be forced to relocate by the archdiocese. It's such a weird story. So I guess the Sisters of the Immaculate Conception of something, what were they called? Oh, the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart of the Blessed Virgin Mary. They were determined to prevent Katy Perry from acquiring their former home. So they struck their own deal with this restaurateur named Dana Hollister, who offered $15.5 million for the property, though only $100,000 of that was in cash, with the rest in a promissory note. And it was just weird. It's like, well, okay, so you're still going to sell it just for $1 million more? Like, what's the deal? But the reasoning wasn't financial. Sister Catherine Rose Holzman bluntly told Billboard magazine, these nuns talking to Billboard, I love it. Katy Perry represents everything we don't believe in. The pop star's provocative performances and sexual image apparently did not sit well with the elderly sisters. So, in a desperate attempt to win over the nuns, I mean, Katy Perry's a pastor's daughter. She grew up religious. She started as a gospel singer, so she probably was like, I still got it. I get the vibes. I mean, yeah, I guess the bikini's made of food products, but is she that I guess she had kissed a girl, but I'm like, is she that oh, no, bon appetit. Never mind. I feel like in the realm of scandals pop stars, she, to me, doesn't strike me as someone that the church elders would turn down 15 mil to stand up against. In a desperate attempt to win over the nuns, Katy Perry arranged a meeting with them. According to the reports, she showed them her Jesus tattoo and this is so cringy, performed a rendition of Oh Happy Day for them. Do you think nuns are so over? Are the sisters so over the Sister Act? Do they feel misrepresented by that? Because it made the rest of us think that they were a jolly good time. I don't know if that's always the case. From people I know that went to Catholic school. But it is funny. I mean, maybe sing Amazing Grace or something, Something a little bit more about bread and blood and, died and buried, rose from our sins, the more serious stuff. But Oh Happy Day is kind of hilarious. It can't be in pop culture, Sister Rita Callahan was unimpressed, noting that Katy Perry had to look up the lyrics on her phone. Sorry. It's late, so I'm talking quietly. Oh, happy day. The lyrics on her phone. That's funny. Okay, the archdiocese, insisting that they had the authority to sell the property, sued Hollister in 2015. So now the archdiocese and the nuns are at odds. A judge ultimately ruled in 2016 that the nuns' attempt to sell the property was invalid. Yeah, how can you sell property that's not yours? And how can you even get a commissary note or whatever? Promissory? Commissary? I don't know real estate. I'm a renter. Promissory. Commissary. So yeah, judge ruled that the property attempt to sell was invalid, clearing the way for Katy to purchase. And then Hollister, the restaurateur, had to pay $5 million in punitive damages for interfering with the sale. The story took a shocking and tragic turn in March 2018. Sister Catherine Rose Holzman, 89 years old, collapsed and died during a court appearance related to the case, just hours before her death in what would be her final interview. Her last rites, she made a direct plea to the pop star on Fox 11 News and to Katy Perry, please stop. It's not doing anyone any good except hurting a lot of people. The sisters maintain that the case should have never gone to local court, claiming their convent was under direct control of the Vatican, and they had an agreement with Rome, stating any disputes to be settled there. The sisters also claim the sale to Perry would leave them financially stranded, because the archdiocese brokered the $14.5 million deal without their involvement. They claim they would never see any of the proceeds. Well, is that Katy Perry's issue or the archdiocese? It sounds like there's some issues here internally y'all got to work out. Maybe Katy should have backed off and, maybe this should be a historical property or something that isn't available for a pop star to make her churchy aesthetic. But also, I don't understand the hierarchy here. Apparently, her option to buy the property, despite the controversy, legal ruling, and tragedy, it remains unclear whether she actually completed the purchase. As far as I can tell, no. Some reports suggested her option to buy it expired. Others indicated the property might have gone back on the market. The saga still isn't over. This is from an old article. The pop star's agreement with the archdiocese requires that she find a replacement for the convent's house of prayer, which is still in use by local clergy. So far, replacement has eluded Perry. At one point, a solution presented itself in the 3-acre Chateau Emmanuel in Eagle Rock, but that deal fell apart. Now it's an open question whether Perry can pull off finalizing the transaction. And that's all. Like, it just ended. I am fascinated by this story. So they allegedly purchased this property with their own money in 1972. All the sisters. They pooled their money together to buy the 8-acre property. They paid for its maintenance for decades, with no financial help from the archdiocese. Sister Holzman insisted they never took care of us. The truth is that the church hasn't given us a dime ever for this house. I'm confused. Do you report to them? Like, I want to understand, like, are you Kappa Delta and they're the Nationals chapter? Or is this like you're a branch of a business or franchise and like that's headquarters? Have your own like autonomy within your unit, but like a dotted line reporting connection to them. They have some control over you, but not like, I don't get it. I don't get it. They were forced to leave against their will, and the nuns believed the property was under direct Vatican control rather than the local archdiocese control. In 2005, the Vatican decided to appoint a pontifical commissary, which is different from promissory. I have no idea. The Vatican decided to appoint a pontifical commissary with the archdiocese to assume responsibility for the remaining sisters. Responsibility? Similar to a legal guardian? This complex governance structure created confusion about who had authority. Do nuns need guardians? The nuns' biggest fear was that if the archdiocese sold the property, their living expenses would not be covered. Although they insisted this wouldn't happen, the sisters didn't trust that promise. That really sucks what a weird situation. It's almost like the church doesn't always do the right thing. Religious objections to Perry. Beyond property rights, the nuns have moral objections to Perry. She represents everything they don't believe in. The legal issue ultimately came down to a technical question of how the property was incorporated and who had the authority to sell it. While the nuns believed their direct investment in the property gave them ownership rights, the archdiocese argued that since their nonprofit organization is overseen by the church, they had ultimate say on what happens. And the court ultimately sided with the archdiocese. It's like, I find the nuns like a little annoying because it's like, how do you know that what's-her-face Hollister, Lord knows what she's doing in the sack behind closed doors? She could represent everything you don't believe in either. Like, I just think you're being a bit harsh on a person whose job is entertainment. And she tried to sing to you, "Oh, happy day." God forbid she looks up the lyrics. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes when I'm nervous, I forget lyrics too. I'm suddenly obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with understanding the complex relationship between religious orders, the Catholic Church hierarchy, questions about the autonomy of religious women within the church structure. I'm horrified. I mean, I get horrified. It's to me, it's already within quite existing problematic institution. But like, I hate the idea that like all their assets would be in this one thing they don't have control over that can be taken from them, and then like they don't have relevance in the normal workforce. So like, what do you do if you don't want to be a nun anymore? If you want to break off from your corrupt organization? I mean, it really, yeah. I don't need to get into that. But wow. Okay, I'm going to be deep diving this tonight. Like Sister Act 2, I am back in the habit of obsessing over stories that have no bearing on my life, will get me nowhere, will make me lose sleep, and it'll all have been worth it because I can't believe this woman dropped dead in the courtroom. That was her last wish, was just that Katy Perry doesn't live in her home. Insane. Anyway. Oh, the live stream. I think it was all made worse, not only by the pixie cut distracting the online conversation in a way that is sexist and unfair from the music emission itself, but also the absolutely unhinged, fever dream, weird choice that I think did her absolutely no favors, which was that incredibly odd 72-hour live stream. Do you guys remember that? We watched her go to therapy. She cried. She did talk about how people didn't like her hair. Hold on, can we revisit this for 2 seconds? Yeah, there was a 45-minute therapy broadcast for the world to see, part of the nonstop live stream. During Witness Worldwide, fans could watch the singer eat, sleep, shower, and cry for 4 days straight. People talk about my hair, right? And they don't like it, or they wish it was longer. I so badly want to be Katherine Hudson that I don't even want to look like Katy Perry anymore sometimes. Katherine Hudson is Katy Perry's real name. That's really sad. Well, now I feel bad. Not that bad. the space flight was so stupid. But I think the bottom line is, like, it's hard for any of us to care about the space race right now. I think that the public hates feeling like the media thinks they're stupid. And the celebrities, the media fanfare, feminist language for this being about representation and unity and a big milestone for women having been the first all-female flight since 1963 or whatever. And I get why people are interested in space. I love the space gal. I don't undermine, like, the serious work done in this field, but I think that the issue is not space. It's the billionaire space race. Like, and in times when it seems like there's so many more causes to put such massive amounts of money and resources to, because that's what it takes for these, like, small little joyrides. Is like, yeah, like, that's just not, I don't think that's what's going to sit right with people. I don't think that's what people want to see right now. And I think that in and of itself, we wouldn't have been that interested in, like, a celeb flight of that kind, but they happen. But I think, like, these major media outlets and magazines going out of their way to, present it as this, like, feminist venture, was just like, we're not stupid. This is pointless. Long story short, I don't think girl boss feminism lands anymore. It interrupts real feminist politics. It turns it into an aesthetic and a joke. And once that veil has been lifted, it feels patronizing and out of touch and kind of gross when you hear people take themselves so seriously and talk to you like you should be so inspired by what they just did, which is arguably something kind of like reckless, masculine, if anything, hurling yourself to 2,000 miles per hour into the atmosphere and something that could kill you just for the sake of saying you did on a guy's rocket who was mined the planet for all it's worth. And I guess now wants to mine the galaxy. I don't know, you guys. I liked the bootcut spacesuits, so some people took issue. I like a tasteful flare. I do. I just don't. I think we're all like, but what's the point? And then when they got back, it's like, well, the beautiful earth, the perspective we're walking away from. It's like, okay, great. Again, that's helpful for you. This was meaningful for you. That doesn't mean it wasn't. But what we're saying is that it's not a feminist venture when something is just for your individualistic gain. Perry said, like, the journey was for the beautiful earth and it was all about the earth. And I think people were like, well, isn't that kind of ironic given, like, how bad for the environment, going to space is? And she said, I think the perspective we're all going to walk away with is like, oh my gosh, we have to protect our mother fiercely. But I think, part of me is like, was the point of this, was the marketing message, like, obviously it was a billboard for Blue Origin. And a lot of, like, news outlets had to issue corrections because I'm not trying to defend Blue Origin, but I'm just trying to be accurate. It uses water vapor and it doesn't emit CO2. But that does not at all eliminate entire damage caused to the atmosphere. But yeah, the average space tourism flight of 11 minutes emits 83 tons of carbon into the atmosphere. And that's the equivalent of what these news outlets are saying, what Thailand emitted in 2023 as a whole. Blue Origin, technically, I guess, doesn't do that. And I'm like, was the goal supposed to be to talk about that this is, like, eco-friendly space tourism? But if it was, it got completely lost because we all just were so off-put. Eco-friendly space tourism, that's like a ridiculous sentence. You know what I mean, though? Less harmful, slightly less offensive, gratuitous space tourism. I don't know. I don't think any of us knew what the point was. I don't think even they knew the point was by the way they talked about it afterward. And I know maybe the backlash was a little harsh. Katy Perry, worth $400 million. Did it hurt her feelings that Wendy said they wanted her sent back to space? Sure. I don't think they wanted Katy to die. I think they were making a quirky social media joke, which you know how I feel about brands acting as quirky naysayers in the comments. It's not really my vibe, but I am forever loyal to Wendy's. I think, honestly, like, this is a case where the mockery is valid. I think it needed to happen, even though I want to talk about at some point how I think we were a little bit too hard on the girl boss in certain ways and other ways not. I think that the backlash to a spectacle like this is important to make a point, and that people are seeing through these things that are wasteful, that are unimportant, that support causes that shouldn't be a priority in these times, nor getting the eyes and ears and airwaves that they do relative to other stuff. And I was researching, like, do people connect this to the submersible? Because I feel like that is similar. Not that that was made into a identity politics spectacle, but just in terms of, like, the unnecessary nature of it relative to the danger. And a Harvard University professor and oceanographer named Peter Gerges said, what this really comes down to is hubris and greed. It's both tragic and ironic that this example of hubris occurred within a few hundred meters or yards from another example of hubris, which is the Titanic. The criticism could equally apply to aspects of the Blue Origin flight. The claims about making history, the glamorization of a brief suborbital journey, the celebrity-focused approach also suggests a similar mindset, though thankfully without the tragic consequences. Both ventures represent humanity's complex relationship with extreme environments, technological capability, wealth, and the desire for novel experiences, just with vastly different risk management approaches and outcomes. But regardless, But yeah, what I wanted to get back to is just making it clear that there were 2 women scientists on the Blue Origin flight, and I do support this for them if they've never been to space and have studied their whole lives. But the space gal went on a Blue Origin flight. I want to be clear. It was the media spectacle, the weird commentary surrounding it, and the fact that they were all acting like this was something other than what it was, which was an ad for Blue Origin. But on it, the flight was Amanda Wynn, a bioastronautics researcher who made history as the first Vietnamese American woman to travel to space on the Blue Origin. In 2021, she became a scientist, astronaut candidate, where she's been researching women's health and menstruation in space. One of her primary experiments on the Blue Origin, so she was doing an experiment, focused on women's health, particularly menstruation management in space. She explained NASA barred women from becoming astronauts in the beginning. One reason cited was because of menstruation. They didn't have the data to back that up, but I will be gathering data to back up my own hypothesis, which is that women's bodies are actually very fit for space. During her brief time in microgravity, Wynn conducted experiments testing material for wound dressing that could have applications for developing better absorption technology for women astronauts who menstruate. The research aimed to make it possible for engineers to create space-friendly pads or tampons that would function effectively in microgravity conditions. Wynn also carried several MIT research projects into orbit. It goes on to say she tested smart materials being evaluated for next-generation spacesuits, so on and so forth. All in 11 minutes, I'm impressed. Beyond that, she has an incredible background. There was also Aisha Bowe, a former NASA rocket scientist, aerospace engineer, and entrepreneur who made history as the first Bahamian American to travel to space. And she worked as mission engineer in the small spacecraft division with NASA. She focused on nano-satellite missions and developing methods to maintain safe separation air traffic while optimizing fuel consumption within automated systems. I don't know what that means. And for the Blue Origin mission, she stated that she would be conducting meaningful scientific research during the journey. The details of her experiments weren't as publicized as Wynn's, but she used the opportunity to highlight the importance of STEM education and representation. And she brought initial educational initiatives on the flight. She carried postcards containing handwritten hopes and dreams from students in the U.S., the Bahamas, India, Kenya, to symbolize the next generation's vision for discovery and progress. And she participated in the mission aligned with her broader work as founder and CEO of STEM Board, which is an engineering forum, creator of Lingo, a hands-on coding kit startup serving over 100,000 students, which focuses on expanding access to STEM education for underrepresented groups. And after the flight, King was like, this is just a reminder we need to be better, to do better. And Gail. Bowe reflected on the transformative experience of seeing Earth from space. She said, when you look out the window, you don't see any borders, you don't see any boundaries, you just see beauty. She noted that witnessing the planet from this perspective has strengthened her commitment to inspiring the next generation of scientists and engineers. These efforts, while brief during the 11-minute flight, represented important symbolic and practical steps in expanding women's participation in space research, particularly in fields historically dominated by men. So, yeah, I do want to give those women their credit and how meaningful this probably was for them, and I'm glad they were given seats. If you have done this work for years, can you imagine how meaningful that would be to finally see? Like, I get why their lives would be changed in 11 minutes, but also Amanda Wynn, her work regarding sexual assault federal law is one of the most significant civil rights achievements for survivors in U.S. history, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. She drafted and advocated for the Sexual Assault Survivors' Rights Act, which President Obama signed into law in 2016. This landmark legislation established for the first time statutory rights in federal code for survivors of sexual assault and rape, impacting an estimated 25 million rape survivors in the United States. The law addressed serious problems Wynn personally encountered in the justice system. After being sexually assaulted in 2013 as a Harvard student, Wynn discovered that under Massachusetts law, her rape kit could be destroyed after just 6 months, despite the statute of limitation being 15 years. This meant she had to navigate a complex system twice yearly to preserve crucial evidence. And the SAA Survivors' Rights Act includes several critical protections: the right to free medical examinations, the requirement that rape kits be preserved for the same amount of time as the statute of limitations, up to 20 years, the right to be notified before the kit is destroyed, the option to extend the preservation period, and the right to be informed about the results of forensic examinations. And then in 2014, she founded RISE, an NGO, and she aimed to pass the Sexual Assault Survivor Bill of Rights in all 50 states, as well as the national level. And the initial federal legislation has led to 21 states adopting similar legislation, creating a ripple effect of reform across the country. In 2023, follow-up legislation called the Survivors Bill of Rights in the States Act became law, expanding these rights and encouraging all states to ensure survivors have, at minimum, the rights guaranteed under federal law. Her advocacy has expanded internationally. Amanda Wynn, on this Blue Origin flight, who we aren't talking about as much as Katy Perry, has helped pass more than 65 laws protecting sexual assault survivors' rights at various levels of government. She's been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, and she sounds like an incredible person, a woman who didn't have to turn her personal trauma into groundbreaking legal protections, but chose to fundamentally change the justice system domestically and internationally for sexual assault survivors, making it less traumatizing and supporting their pursuit of justice, in addition to her incredibly impressive work in the aerospace realm. And yeah, she's an example of a person who like, I'll read stories like hers endlessly. What a cool person, what incredible work, what important work. And I think this is what's so kind of ironic about all of this is like, we're mad at the faux feminism represented by Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, and Gayle King. Those are the people whose sound bites I was hearing the most after it. We're frustrated that this served as a promotional vehicle for a person like Bezos. If you're going to talk about the importance of representation and unity and what this is going to do for women going forward, when the people whose voices were being like amplified by the media by and large were people that weren't there for anything other than fun. But the people that were there for a more established purpose, that were women in STEM, that do have a bigger message of representation, and that were conducting experiments. Like, do you guys see what I mean? It's kind of an ironic thing. Just want to call out my own hypocrisy here for the sake of not becoming as delusional as KP and say that we're mad because of how this mission appropriated feminism and had this marketing veneer we know all too well of the optics of including women in something to get credit for doing that when it actually doesn't move the needle at all, which is really harmful toward, true feminist efforts. We the people also are actively neglecting that there were people there that were given an opportunity that they probably couldn't afford otherwise, that were doing some semblance of space research, even though I don't know how much you can do in 11 minutes, and that are women in STEM. They have incredible stories, career histories, and relevance to the particular mission. And even if we don't support Blue Origin as a whole, I understand why those two women wanted to go. I understand they had a purpose. And I understand that people in that field would be inspired and represented by them. And I think that their stories do deserve being featured. And I don't know the politics of who does or doesn't get to go in NASA space flights and when you have to resort to consumer capitalism. But still, I think those two women are very interesting people. And I love seeing their sound bites and clips of how they talked about it. I'm not saying I'm still into space travel, but I am saying I think if we wanted to extract some meaning from this and not have it be like a total frustrating bust, to just remember that like two people that deserve to be there and have a life-changing experience based on their passion and profession got to. And I just think if we wanted to like counteract the narrative a smidge, if we can't undo what was done, we might as well focus on the better part of it, which is two people whose careers sound like, something I want to support and who young women might look up to greatly, getting a national stage for a moment. And that type of representation has its place. And that type of representation isn't given when we're paying no attention to it. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there, you guys. But in conclusion, it's not about singing my songs. It's about a collective energy in there. It's about us. It's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging. I like the idea of taking up space and the concept, and I don't like that being misappropriated for this. It's frustrating. But speaking of the opposite of belonging, do you guys watch Coachella footage? Because my God, there's nothing that makes me feel worse about myself. And maybe that paired with the brown hair is contributing to my spiral this week of feeling like my youth is fleeting. My hair is mousy, and I don't even know if I have personal style anymore, and I don't know who I am or what I'm doing, and I don't have a single social event to go to anytime in the near future. And when you just see like hot people partying and having fun in like cute clothes that are so with it, sometimes as a mom in the Midwest, you're like, what's the opposite of I've still got it? I mean, I feel like influencers are just, even though we're acting in the world, like we care more about like what makes you unique and not being homogenous, and it's not about looks, and we perform body positivity or neutrality over the years and diversity. And like a lot of efforts have expanded and been more inclusive. And I want to applaud that, even though it should have been done in the first place. But in many ways, I feel like the more influencers I see at these like events, I'm like, I think influencers, the stakes are higher. They just keep getting hotter and hotter. I think it's the same as it's always been, is that thin, hot people prevail. And I wish it was different. But I think algorithms sometimes, like we can perform that we care about and like certain things, but algorithms aren't about what you're saying. It's about what you're doing and engaging with, not even liking or commenting, but what you're watching for the longest time, right? And I think that like sometimes it shows, like you remember when people were like talking about how all New York influencers are the same and this, that, and the other. And a lot of people were like, no, they're not. You're just paying attention, engaging, following those particular ones. You need to diversify your feed, diversify your algorithm, diversify what you consume. And then like that'll, populate itself. I don't know. What was I saying? Something about Coachella? Oh, can we talk about a hot boot in the desert? Justin Bobby wore combat boots to the beach. We made fun of him endlessly in the yachts. Why is it suddenly acceptable now to wear a crunky fry in 105? It looks so soppy. I could never. And I just can't believe how much leather is being worn. Additionally, how much macrame. Are we Ramona Singer and St. Bartholomew? Was that St. Bart's? No, that was St. John. Carol time. Sorry. Whoa. I can't believe Scary Island fell off my radar. Alex and Simon and Francois went to, wait, what's the other kid's name? Francois. That's going to bother me. You guys are screaming at me. Obviously, this is Alex and Simon's French-sounding son who is fully American. My son's crying. I should go to him. But no, I must think of this. Regardless, you guys. That was Scary Island was St. John, and Alex and Simon will go to St. Bart's in the off season, as one does. Bless their hearts. They were always just a little on the outskirts of high society, but they tried, and for that I love them. But they tried, and I love that for them. But what was I saying about hot people? Is the person born hot, or do they have hotness thrust upon them? I don't know. But all I know is keep getting introduced to new people, like with OOTDs or Get Ready With Me's or whatever, or people I haven't seen in a while. Oh yeah, the influencers are just getting hotter. I'm like, these people they have celebrity looks, they have otherworldly looks. And I think there's something crazy making about influencers where they're kind of supposed to be just like you and part of this democratized process, where they're like normal people and blah, 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 but they don't look like normal people. And then that almost makes you feel worse because celebrities, at least you kind of can justify it. Does that make sense? Like there's this one woman who, I don't know how old she is. She comes across my feed sometimes, but I was seeing a lot of her like makeup videos for Coachella because she was so cute. She was so excited for Lady Gaga and stuff. And I love seeing people's enthusiasm for like the festival itself. And her name's Kensington. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? This is just can you imagine having a face and looking in the mirror and being like, no, it's just like such a beautiful person. She looks like if a fairy princess was in a throuple with a Victoria's Secret angel and a dewdrop. Like, I'm just like, how? This would be so fun to just have such a nice face, regardless. You know, sometimes when you're watching makeup videos and you're like, oh my God, yeah, I need to get that Rare Beauty blush. And it's like, no, I need to get new bones picture. I don't know why I'm kidding myself. Anyway, what a weird episode of alleged quest for feminism and setting us back several years with my own insecurities. But, you know, we can contain multitudes. This has been Beth's evil brunette twin speaking. What would her name be? I guess be the other half of Beth, Eliza and Beth. Oh, yeah. Eliza has brown hair. I think Beth has blonde hair. Don't you guys think? And I still haven't gotten a message back from the small business owner. So if you never hear from me again, you know why. I'm headed to Michigan for the weekend. My 19-month-old son is currently very obsessed with the concept of the Easter Bunny. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you for listening. If you want to send to a friend, rate and review 5 stars, that would be great. If you don't want to give 5 stars, that's fine too. You know, just know you will be on the receiving end of my wrath like this Pilates studio owner. Because honestly, I don't hate the hustle. I don't hate the hustle. It's hard out here. As a self-employed woman, and every review matters. And I kind of get it. But regardless, you guys, I appreciate the privilege of your time. Thank you for listening. And as always, let me know your thoughts and I'll let you know mine. I'll be there in 5, I swear.